Good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this hump day. We have the truth of the day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and in today's entertainment spotlight, you're being part of my conversation with best-selling author Brendan Kiely. Enjoy today's program. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In Mississippi news, State Health Officer Dr. Thomas Dobbs says 40% of African Americans in Mississippi are fully vaccinated. In a recent tweet, State Health Officer Dr. Thomas Dobbs said 40% of African Americans are fully vaccinated in the state and credited local community leaders for the growing numbers. Bishop Ronnie Crudup, pastor of New Horizon Church International, is like many pastors in the community, hosting various vaccine drives and events to encourage more people to get vaccinated. With preconditions and already the health of our community, COVID has come in and really decimated a lot of our folk. So that's exciting to hear, Bishop Crudup said on Tuesday. Now we want to do everything we can to push that number even higher, to double that number. Dr. Dobbs says the recent percentage of African Americans shown to be fully vaccinated is 9% higher than the national average. Bishop Crudup emphasized it's a collaborative effort to get more shots in arms. Mississippi still has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the country, and leaders continue to encourage people to get the vaccine. I've been in ministry for 45 years, and I've never buried as many people as we're burying now. I mean, it's hurtful, Bishop Crudup said. We need people to wake up and let's stop this. In national news, Biden promises relentless diplomacy to skeptical allies. President Joe Biden on Tuesday summoned the world's nations to forcefully address the festering global issues of the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and human rights abuses in his first address before the UN General Assembly on Tuesday. He decried military conflict and insisted the U.S. is not seeking a new Cold War with China. But while stressing to fellow world leaders the urgency of working together, Biden avoided addressing criticism from allies about the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan and the diplomatic tempest with France. Instead, Biden used his address before the annual gathering of world leaders to make his case that the United States remains a reliable international partner following 4 years of the former president. We're opening a new era of relentless diplomacy, of using the power of our development aid to invest in new ways of lifting people up around the world, Biden said. The president offered an impassioned plea for cooperation to friends and adversaries, arguing that overcoming a daunting list of crises will hinge on our ability to recognize our common humanity. Biden said the U.S. under his watch had reached a turning point with the end of military operations in Afghanistan last month, closing out America's longest war. That's at the table, he said, for his administration to shift its attention to intensive diplomacy at a moment when no shortage of crisis facing the globe. And more national news, House races to vote on government funding, debt as GOP digs in. The House rushed headlong Tuesday into a vote on legislation to fund the government, suspend the federal debt limit, and provide disaster and refugee aid, forcing a showdown with Republicans who opposed the package despite the risk of a fiscal crisis. The federal government faces a shutdown if funding stops at the September 30th end of the fiscal year, midnight next Thursday. At the same time, the U.S. risks defaulting on its accumulated debt load if its borrowing limits are not waived or adjusted. The package unveiled Tuesday would provide stopgap money to keep the government funded to December the 3rd and extend borrowing authority through the end of 2022. It includes $29 billion in disaster relief for the aftermath of Hurricane Ida and other extreme weather events, and $6.3 billion to support Afghanistan evacuees in the fallout from the end of the 20-year war. Backed by the White House, Democratic congressional leaders pushed ahead at the time of great uncertainty in Congress, with lawmakers already chiseling away at the $3.5 trillion price tag of President Joe Biden's broad Build Back Better agenda. Immediate action focused on deadlines to avoid deeper problems if votes to shore up government funding fail. In business news, after a wobbly day, major indexes in mixed on Wall Street Tuesday. A late afternoon burst of buying on Wall Street faded in the final minutes of trading Tuesday, leaving the major stock indexes mixed. The S&P 500 index slipped 0.1% after spending much of the day wavering between small gains and losses. And finally, in entertainment news, Sarah Dash, who sang on Lady Marmalade with LaBelle, dies. Singer Sarah Dash, who co-founded the all-female group LaBelle, best known for the 1974 hit Lady Marmalade, has died. She was 76 years old. Patti LaBelle and Nona Hendrix completed the trio. They announced Dash's death Monday on social media. No cause of death was disclosed. We spoke a musical language. Music says it best. Singing brought us together, wrote Hendrix. Sarah Dash was an awesomely talented, beautiful, and loving soul who blessed my life and the lives of so many others in more ways than I can say, LaBelle wrote. Rest in power, my dear sister. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's on time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Remain relaxed and calm. Release the temptation to engage in conflict with those who have differing beliefs or opinions. Learn to see such conflicts as opportunities for you to let go of trying to convince others of your beliefs. Detach yourself from any struggle while you focus on staying centered and calm. Complete this exercise anytime you feel others are trying to unduly influence you. When you are able to reconnect with whomever you had a conflict with, find neutral ground to establish a productive friendship. If this is not a possibility, you may have to just let go. Today, avoid conflict by detaching from your emotional responses, and enjoy the day.
Author Brendan Kiely is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight, right here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Best-selling author Brendan Kiely joined me recently on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about his brand new book, The Other Talk, Reckoning with Our White Privilege. Here's a bit of our powerful conversation.
I know the book's just officially out today, but already the comments are already coming in, Brendan. What has it been like for you to see the way that people are responding to The Other Talk?
It's been pretty interesting actually to think about this because I'm white for your listeners out there. There's a white kid growing up in Massachusetts. I certainly had conversations about racism, but they were always about what was happening to other people, right? And for so many of my friends who are black or indigenous or are other folks of color, they grow up having an evolving conversation, kind of colloquially known as the talk, right? About navigating and trying to survive racism in America. And so for me, I wanted to write The Other Talk because I wanted to reflect a bit more on what it means for white families to have conversations about our racial identity, how it impacts our lives, and it impacts the lives of others. And to the point of your question, as I've been traveling the country for the last few years, time and time again, young folks I meet, whether that's in Anchorage, Alaska, Orlando, Florida, or Portland, Maine, or so many points in between, young folks and young white folks really want to have this conversation. They want to learn more so they can do more. And so I'm grateful that I have the opportunity now with The Other Talk to really engage directly in conversations about white privilege with every community that invites me to come in and talk about it.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. But we'll have you guys on tomorrow's more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.